Here I am back at the hostel for my necessary pit stop. I won't show the dancing receptionist unless he wants to appear in my video. Oh, I think he does want to appear in my video. Maybe I'll edit him out later. We don't want to make somebody famous, do we? Dining table over here. Everything you need in the kitchen to prepare your own meals if that's your thing. I know a lot of guests in this hostel, it appears, aren't using the kitchen or common room facilities. They're quite happy to go out and buy their meals in the restaurants. If you've got any spare change in the form of decorative international currency, you might like to add to the collection on the board here. Lots of paper money from many countries. Quite diverse. Nice little feature, and nice to see that they haven't been stolen by rogue guests, because there can be rogue guests sometimes.
Yeah, it happened actually not just once. But...
They're stealing Russian money.
Yeah, I don't know who, what
People going to Russia, I guess. Needing, oh, I need something for, you know, getting just from the airport or the bus station to the centre, just a few rubles. Oh, that's handy, it's on the wall. Now, I don't want you people at home watching and listening to this video to get any ideas about stealing stuff from this hostel or any other hostel. Whether it's money pinned up on a board or stuff in the fridge with my name on it. In particular, if it's got my name on it, do not steal it from the fridge. Thank you very much. So this is a little look around the heart of the hostel. It does operate with a no shoe policy. Each floor has an area where you can deposit your shoes and then just roam around. I'm trying not to film anybody. Somebody's in the corner over there working away industriously on their laptop, so I'm sure they don't want to feature in my video. But here's showing you the common room space, guitar, comfy sofa, some hard benches. Common room extends into the luggage storage room and a series of showers and toilets to service people here or in the dorms on this floor. The small reception door over there is closed at the moment because the receptionist is cooking his afternoon snack. There's a dorm over there. Let's have a little walk around the hostel, shall we? I come up here to the 4th floor where reception is using the elevator, or you can use the stairs. It's all simple enough, and some of the dorms are, as I say, on this floor. There seems to be ample toilets and showers for everybody. I haven't heard anyone complain. And they've even got a more sort of laid back, quiet area here for people who might wish to relax. The little mini kitchenette area. Leave your bike, why not? And as this is all wide open and nobody's in here, why not stroll in to have a look at the 6-bed dorm? No smoking policy, of course, as is typical in hostels. There's a semi-curtain privacy style to some of the beds in this room, but not really a full pod experience or full enclosed by curtain experience. There are the private lockers here, reasonable size. Okay, if you've got an absolute chock-a-block full 40-litre backpack, you're going to be saying, oh, but it's not big enough. Get yourself a smaller backpack is what I say. Here we have shower separate from the toilet, and as I said, back in the reception area there's more showers and toilets, so no need for queuing, hopefully. and either taking the lift one floor up or walking up the stairs. We can see a little rooftop view of Riga Old Town. Entering here, we have this floor's, the 5th floor's dedicated shoe rack spot. So in stocking feet, I'm coming through to the 3 toilets there, and how many showers in there? 2, 3 showers in there. Comfy little spot on the sofa to relax in. And here's my room. The lockers here are a little smaller than in that 6-bed dorm. Don't know why, but here's my spot. Last night, incredibly lucky, as I mentioned earlier, after the fidgety guy in the top bunk on my first night. Whew. That contributed to my sleepless night. But last night was just dandy. And what I do is, as a fix for fidgety people in the bunk above me, I try to push the bed into the corner as much as I can, and then I try to wedge in the frame of the bed. And it really does work if you roll up a t-shirt or a towel, for example, or a shirt, and wedge those in where the wall meets the frame of the bed, and at this point as well. And that should, and indeed does, really stop this bed from moving as much as it would otherwise. Little tip for you, try and always get a bunk in a corner setting like that. Names are attributed to some beds, and I don't know, this must be where people have in advance made it clear that they want specific beds, perhaps returning guests, and they've got a favourite bed. It can happen. It may sound odd if you're not familiar with staying in hostels a lot. Maybe that Kwang Bui wants specifically bottom bunk near the windows, and that's going to suit him. And it might be that Pedro L wants a bottom bunk away from the windows. Wi-Fi, and there's a lot of guests saying in this hostel it's very popular, large number of people needing to go online, and they're having no problem at all connecting to the Wi-Fi as far as I know. And you usually do hear the grumblings of backpackers if they don't have good Wi-Fi. But here, no worries. Nice little corner spot if you are having to mix work with pleasure on your stay in the hostel. You can come in here. Limited interest among the books on the shelves, but nice little nook here if you need a table and chair in a fairly quiet spot. Of course, somebody might be cleaning, come along with a vacuum, but you know, it's a hostel. It's got to be give and take, hasn't it? Very attractive, lovely, stylized map of Latvia. We are here in good old Riga, and I'll be heading off to Ventspils for my next stop, and we'll be taking in Kuldiga and then Liepāja. I'm going basically just around the west coast of the country on this trip. In the future, I will be hoping to see Daugavpils, for example. never been to there before. Has a large impressive fortress I want to see one day, so hopefully we can make that happen. But I'm going around this way and then heading into Lithuania. That's a little tour of the hostel. I'm sure you've been thrilled, delighted, surprised and encouraged to book your own bed here, because I would definitely recommend it. Very pleasant staff. It's all low key, no drunken parties, unless of course a large group takes over a whole floor of the hostel. It's always possible, and then I'm sure the hostel will do its best to control the noise if it should become an issue, because there is the no noise after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock sort of policy. Reception closes downstairs and with the common room at 11. So then if you're not going to bed, take the drinking and eating and revelry, that party atmosphere, out into Riga Central itself and continue your nighttime meeting with new friends, making new friends, dancing and being merry, while the rest of the people staying in the place can actually get some sleep. Okay, my camera seems to be experiencing some malfunctions at the moment. I don't know precisely why it's deciding to do this, but it's either switching itself off randomly when it chooses to, or it's changing from video mode to photo mode. Bizarre? Is it something in the atmosphere? I would normally say it must be something I'm doing, but I'm not actually affecting this. I'm just doing standard press, start mode, you know, turn it on, start, finish, start, finish. That's how I make simple videos. For some reason, it's as though there's a little gremlin in the works. Anyhow, I just missed the last 5 minutes of filming in the old town, and I can't be bothered to go back and retrace my steps and do that bit. What I shall say is, we're now going to continue our afternoon meandering around the old town. Here in Riga, pretty close to the hostel, is the big red brick round tower. It reminds me of some of the brickwork I've seen around the Baltic in the past, and I'm not sure if I'd mentioned this before in another video, but I have spoken to a hostel manager who informed me that the team of builders who went around during the age of the Hanseatic League, the builders were responsible for constructing much of the red brick towers and defensive walls of Tallinn. They began in Lubeck and then moved their way east to other Hanseatic cities, continued their contractual work in the same style, replicating this red brickwork. So that's why places like Riga and Tallinn and Lubeck share some commonality in architecture from that period of history. Interesting that there were European artisans travelling back then. Little feature of an archway. I was delayed slightly in the hostel, my own fault entirely. Got in conversation with a French guy in the kitchen while I was having my snack, and then what happened was I started chatting to the receptionist. He was having his lunch as well. Afterwards, we were joined by a lady from Russia who was staying in the hostel, and established that she too was about to go out and have a look around the old town, and she suggested that maybe I might like to walk with her. We can explore together. And I had to do the terrible thing which I've dreaded having to do as I'm doing the YouTube videos these days. I had to turn around and say, I'm sorry, but I've kind of got to devote my attention to the job in hand. You know, in hostels, everybody's open, not everybody, but a lot of people are open and friendly and will very often say things of this sort, and it's not unusual whether you're male or female, depending on, it doesn't matter what religion or age or country you're from. If you're staying in the same hostel and you're open-minded and a reasonable human being, then why not go out and take a walk around the town, do some exploring together, go and visit that national park together, visit the beach together. You know, it's not like people getting together on Tinder or anything ridiculous like that. It can just be a pleasant, friendly alternative to walking around on your own, which is all well and good. I mean, I'm usually happy walking around on my own anyway, to be fair. But while I'm doing this, as is evident right now, I'm really having to be focused on rather a lot of things all at once. Plus, I'm having to double check to make sure my camera is still working, because it may or may not have developed some sort of ghost in the machine. I'm not really open to be able to balance this video creation act and having normal conversation with somebody who might be walking with me, or even a group of people who are walking with me. I need to have the flexibility to just go off in a direction where I feel like going off, and I don't want to have to stop and discuss it. I want to be able to just go off and turn down a street when I see a street which looks interesting, even if it takes me away from my plotted course, because I want to do that and I want to see it for myself because it's interesting to me. It looks as though it could be interesting. It's not something I want to have open for negotiation. Isn't that an interesting old warehouse building? Look at that, all 4 floors. Beautifully preserved. A wee bit wonky, I love it. Very nice indeed. And where on earth am I? I'm on Maza Trokshnu Ayala, where it meets Aldaru. Well, that's quite a mouthful, isn't it? On this map. Yeah, I can't pinpoint it on the map. Am I lost already? It's possible. But that's a part of the fun of it all, isn't it? I might have thought I had a plan when I left the hostel to go around systematically and see what looked interesting on the map, but the reality is I've been distracted to come down this side street to take in some unexpected architecture, because these tourist maps, you know, they can't possibly cover everything which may be of interest to everybody. A lot of stuff which is interesting won't make it onto the map, and therefore it's left for the likes of us to come and explore and be delighted to find something that, hey, it wasn't on the map. And it feels like quite a find when we do get to make a discovery. I'm just wondering, is this the Swedish Gate? Have I completely by accident ended up where I wanted to be anyway? It is indeed the Swedish Gate. So, harking back to the days of the expanding Swedish Empire, Swedish Gate, the plaque is written up there in Latvian and Russian by the looks of it. No other information, which is a little bit unfortunate, as is this horrendous vandalism on the side of the historic building. That's very sad. But let's have a look to see if there's any more information up on this side of the gate. And here we are. And sure enough, there's no other information on display, which is a shame. We're going back about 400 years, I guess, to when this was originally instated. We've got something looking interesting over this doorway here. Architectu Vams. Don't know what that means in Latvian, but it looks nice and historic in its own right, doesn't it? As does the building next door. We're on Torna Ayala. 1823 it says there for that building, obviously quite a bit later, about 300 years later than the gate that the Swedes installed. And a part therefore of the reconstructed semi-original defensive walls. Okay, so that ties in with the position of that Swedish gate, clearly, but very little of the walls on this side of the old town survived, clearly. Now, whether it was a case of destruction through the various wars, turned them into rubble, or whether in more peaceful times people felt optimistic and decided that they would go ahead and redevelop the perimeter in buildings more keeping with the time. I mean, this looks 18th century, doesn't it? I would have said myself. So that fits in, sort of. Swedish gate is the oldest, this is the next oldest, and then on the far side, that 19th century building is the next. So over time, as you'd expect anywhere in a historic city such as Riga or many others in Europe, it's been a case of work in progress, and the city has developed through the centuries. Whether a war has come along and caused destruction, or whether there's just been a change of thinking and people have decided, you know what, we can build this better and in the new style. Let's do that. Now then, going along to Torna, and I think I'll continue along this way because we're liable, if we do, to come to Riga Castle, which isn't something that you hear about too often.